Back on the economic stuff again, the inheritance issue particularly. So as a response to John and the, I don't know, bogeyman of probable violence or something. Yeah, I mean, past revolutions can get kind of ugly. Yeah, that's the way it works. I guess you could look at the Kuwait example, maybe though, and say, yeah, it doesn't really seem like rich people will fight all that hard to keep their shit. They'll clean out of a country pretty quick. So yeah, no problem. The rich want to bail out of this country, fine, let them go. Our money's going to have to be reestablished, redefined, its value, and so they can take all the greenbacks they want because they're not going to be worth anything. The value of this country is the people in it, the property on it, the corporations in it. Okay, it's not those fuckers. They're not those multinational bullshit exploiters. So we can do without them. And yeah, maybe they could hire some guys making $30,000 or $40,000, $50,000 a year to fight for them. Some idiots who want to fight for the king. But I think our federal government can take care of those. So yeah, whatever I envision for the future, I envision it happening through a democracy. All right, and if people aren't going to play by the rules of civilization, then yeah, they sort of deserve what they get. You have to have the argument. You do this thing, this battling thing in words, and you win or you lose. It's a Thomas Paine kind of scenario. There was a lot of wusses, in the time of our revolution. They're just like, well, don't want to piss the British off. What if we lose the Revolutionary War? Then we'll have nothing. Yeah, so all you can do is argue with them and persuade them that there's nothing without the revolution. There's no future here, okay, on this planet, if we stay the property of the rich. We are slaves. You can pretend you're something else, but you're a slave. You don't even know what life can be like. You don't even know what civilization looks like because they haven't let you see it. All right? You can get a little glimmer of it. As you're as old as I am, you can get a little glimmer of it because you can see where we were. And you can see that, oh yeah, things have really deteriorated. You can have a little bit of education and you can be doing very productive work, and some asshole will decide it's only worth $12 an hour. And a house is going to cost you, $200,000. So do the math. My father was a middle-class guy, an engineer. He made an average, kind of okay-ish, good salary, and not super salary. And yeah, he could buy a house with, a year and a half of his salary. Okay, who can do that now? We have allowed the rich to own us. We are serfs. And you fools who want to keep defending this system, this monarchy, and that's all it is. It's a noble system, and the passing down of ownership of it by birthright. If you can make sense out of that, well, that's your whatever. That's your liability. I can make no sense of it at all. I don't even, and this isn't about my life. I mean, I don't give a fuck about my life. So yeah, I'll be happy to die in a war. But the future is all I give a shit about. And the majority of people are going to keep being slaves. And that's the part that bugs the shit out of me. And they're going to be slaves because people like you they just can't get it. They're in love with the religion, the jargon. The money people have bought the propaganda. They can pay to for the Fox network. They can keep spewing the bullshit, and people like you will keep eating it. And you'll become their little zombies, and that's the liability, and that's our burden. I mean, we have to talk you out of your conversion. We have to make you back into a human being that expects dignity and not to be owned. So whatever, and then get the vital finds. Yeah, you're just all over the map, and every argument you reshape it to suit your purposes, and it's just such a slimy tactic. It's not about taking money away from little Johnny or obliging him to give the money here or give. No, he's not supposed to have the money in the first place. Okay, that's a simple solution. But no child should grow up with an expectation that they're entitled to something. No, they're going to have to earn their way just like Daddy did. All right, this free ride crap has got to be. It is so disgusting on its face. Just on its face, it's disgusting. But let's add a little bit to the conversation. Let's see if you can do anything with this. Like I say, you don't even touch my metaphors or the questions I pose to you, but I'll pose this one to you. Right now we have this scenario. Basically, you talked about the bank bailouts, and we're bailing out bankers. No, we're bailing out rich people. Okay, rich people, when they go to a bank, see, they can negotiate a better deal. If you go to the bank with $1,000, the bank will say, "Oh, I'll give you 1.5% interest," and then you'll say, "Well, I'd like more than that," and they'll say, "Well, fuck off. I mean, I don't need $1,000." If I go into a bank with $1 million, they're going to start offering me a damn deal. They're going to say, well, we can get you into some FDIC this, and we can get you into some pretty sure this, and some pretty sure that, and guarantee this, and guarantee that. And they're going to offer you all kinds of deals, because they're going to want that big pile of money. And, it's like the old Jed Clampett thing, on TV, the Beverly Hillbillies. He had a whole banker completely obsessed with pleasing him. And that's the way this system works. And that gives the rich a huge advantage in this system. And so anyway, the rich are riding that advantage. They have all this money, and they didn't have like regular old CDs, and they didn't have regular old bank deposits. No, they were getting big piles of interest back, 10 or 12% interest back, because their money was all in kinds of funky assets. And that's what the bank had bought. What we just bailed out were rich people. We didn't bail out bankers. We bailed out rich people. What we basically did was we prevented the bankruptcy, that would have made their assets uninsured, and then they would have been losses. And so instead, we raised the FDIC coverage. We doubled it in half to $250,000. And we basically converted their crap assets that they were making 12% off a year when it was going up, and they're now worthless, and we basically converted back into real assets for them. We gave them real price for it, the real dollar. And the government took on the liability, the toxic crap. And that's all it was. So it was a sneaky bailout. And so all it was really effectively was a bankruptcy. We're just paying for the bankruptcy in this backward way to protect all the rich people. All right, and that's a key word here, is bankruptcy. Huge amount of losses go into the economy in bankruptcy. Now, those losses are paid by the consumer. Every one of us, it's like a tax on all commerce, all business. Okay? It's just the cost of doing business is that some of your people aren't going to pay you back. You're not going to get your money back. Or you're only going to get a portion of it back. And so all that gets paid by us. We foot the bill for bankruptcy, essentially. So in this inheritance scenario, where little bastards, the little spawn of the motherfucking rich, can inherit all the benefits, all the ride-up stuff, they can gain all of that. Well, what if a rich fucker gets himself in, he's leveraged his money, and now he owes, $1 or $2 billion instead of has $1 or $2 billion? Shouldn't his little crappy shitball spawn inherit that liability? I mean, that's the way it was in the olden days. I mean, if a lord went bankrupt, everybody went after that family for centuries and said, we're going to get our fucking money back, you pricks. So why not? Would you support legislation that said exactly that? And let's say you bought stock in a company, and that company, like a Enron, and you made a whole pile of money off that stock. But then it was found out that the company was doing a bunch of crooked things, that the CEO you stockholders put in place was a criminal and was doing criminal things. Shouldn't we take back that money you made on those stocks? I mean, you basically were financing criminal behavior with that stock money. So if that company goes bankrupt, why shouldn't we go after the people who financed the scam, financed the racket? Why shouldn't we take the money back instead of making the consumer pay it? Why should the guy walking the street who didn't have anything to do with the wheeling and dealing and the bullshit, why should he pay higher prices? Because now 100 or 200 or 3,000 other companies have been screwed by a crooked company. So yeah, you know, if you're going to have this elitist system, you could at least have the dignity to accept your own liabilities. You could at least pay your own damn debts. If you're expecting to keep all the advantages of being rich, then you ought to accept the few disadvantages. And one of those disadvantages might be that if you're cheated and you got caught, or if you lose a big pile of money, then your kids are going to have to live with that legacy for the rest of their days. So why not? Let's inherit debt. If we're going to inherit profit, why shouldn't we inherit debt?